I invite you to join me, to participate in this inquiry into the miracle of our souls, to become part of the psychic connection.
CRV, open source CRV, starts with what's called an ideogram. This is stage one. Now, an ideogram is your subconscious's way of communicating the main gestalts of a target. So I often get the question, I'll post a video, a remote viewing video. Let's say I have a target. I worked a target that was the death of Princess Diana. So it's a popular video. So I get a lot of people asking me, how do you know what the question is? So if the target is the death of Princess Diana, and I'm only given a target number, let's say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, how does A, B, C, D, E, F, G tell me what to view, right? This is a question that people often ask. They think there's some kind of clue or hint in the target number, or maybe some people actually think that I've been asked the question, that the viewer is asked the question up front. Viewers are always blind, okay? So how do you know what's at the target? How does a viewer begin, kind of like get that first grip on the target? Well, it's through an ideogram. And this happens in stage one. There's different schools of thought on ideograms. Some people say that ideograms should always be unique. Every ideogram should be unique. They should never look the same. You shouldn't be trying to look for any sort of pattern in your ideograms. And then there's another school of thought that drills ideograms, kind of like programs ideograms into your subconscious language, so to speak. So a flat line would mean land. A right angle ideogram would mean a structure. An ideogram like this would mean a life form, and so on and so forth. A squiggly line would mean water. So this is a way of your subconscious mind to give you that first bit of information about the target. So given only the target number, a viewer is able to produce an ideogram. And the ideogram explains gestalts. Now, what's a gestalt? A gestalt is an organized whole that is perceived as more than the sum of its parts. So a gestalt is, you've probably heard the word, the gist. I get the gist of it. This comes from the word gestalt, which is kind of like you get the overall meaning or the overall framework of what this thing is. So each of these ideograms represent gestalts. So a water gestalt could be anything. It could be a river, a lake, a puddle, a hose with water in it. The gestalt behind that is water. Do you understand? Land, a land gestalt. Any target, anywhere where there's land, you might get a land gestalt. It doesn't tell you anything too specific, but it tells you the main overall gist of the targets. For example, down here, this ideogram, this is a multiple ideogram. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3 different ideograms in this multiple ideogram. And each part represents something different. So there's a right angle here for a structure, there's a life form ideogram, and then there's a water ideogram. So if I were to work a target, or a remote viewer works a target, and they produce an ideogram, for example, that would look like this, that would mean that the target has structure, it has some sort of life form, or life forms, and it has water at the target. The target number itself doesn't mean anything. It's just an arbitrary random letters or numbers. It's just used to give a sort of a starting point for the viewer. This is all done intuitively. This is all through the subconscious. The subconscious knows what the target is. It sees the target number A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it already knows what the target is. All it has to do now is pass that information into your conscious awareness. And in CRV, this starts with doing an ideogram. So it's translating this information through the body and giving it to you, right? So you can think of ideograms as like zip files or .rar files if you've ever, if you're tech savvy. These are like compressed computer files. If you ever use like WinZip, these were more popular back in the day. You would download something, it would come in a file that you wouldn't be able to open unless you had a special program. And once you open it with that program, there's all these other files hidden inside. And these files are those are the files you actually wanted, right? So it's like a compressed, encoded package of information. That's how an ideogram is. So it starts with something like structure or life form or water, but this is more like a compressed, encoded package. And the whole stages of CRV is kind of like unpacking these ideograms, so to speak. The target is the Teton Mountains. As you can see, the main gestalts in this target would be structure, the natural structure of the mountains, the land, of course, and this energy. It says there's a haze at the base of the mountain from some fires. I'm blind to the target. I have no idea what the target is. All I know is target 122. So back to the question of how does a viewer know what the target is, or how does he get the first clue, or how does he get on target? This is how, through the use of ideograms. The target number itself doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything in it. It's only used to produce an ideogram. It's like that first little kickoff to give you that first impulse. So I'm going to play this little video clip here, and you'll see that I produce an ideogram and I identify the main gestalts at the target. So this is how a remote viewing session is kicked off.
T122. A feels like land.
I've identified one as land.
B, energy,
some type
motion.
of energy or motion.
C, there's a structure.
And then a structure. So I produced an ideogram. Here it is. I've taken a screenshot of it. And this is a multiple ideogram, as I was describing earlier. Ideograms can come out as single or multiple. This is a multiple ideogram, and it had 3 elements, 3 gestalts in it, which I identified as structure, energy, and land. So hopefully you can see how, starting from no information, only the target number, within 30 seconds, not even, I was able to find out what the main gestalts of the target were through the use of an ideogram.
I invite you to join me, to participate in this inquiry into the miracle of ourselves, to become part of the psychic connection.